very strange that I have a large nose, and I'll tell you why.
I guess you're privileged to have a big nose then, because you don't live in harsh conditions.
The habanero one? Holy fuck, dude. Woo! You know, maybe I've been treating this bike as some sort of parkour bike when really it's just a...
I once came face to face with a wild rhinoceros. That was pretty crazy.
I got stung by a bee once.
All right. Welcome back to another episode of Burning Boat Business. I was trying to remember what we used to say after that. Can you remember it?
Yeah. The podcast that tracks the progress, success, and failures of our company, the Burning Boat, Business Boat.
As well as ourselves.
As well as
We
ourselves.
haven't said that in a while. Why do we stop doing that?
Because we have the intro now.
Oh, right.
So the intro
we
should be more, you know, that's the real intro, and then it's like we cut in halfway to a conversation.
That's true. I don't actually listen to that intro.
To what intro? The intro of
that we created. I always just pop it in there. Very rarely will actually listen to it, and then
yeah.
I don't listen to the podcasts anymore. Which I don't know if that's a good thing.
I will. Well, obviously not
Obviously,
now.
I'll listen to a little bit
Yeah.
of it if I'm editing it.
Well, yeah.
I have to.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah, he's good. He's good to go. Pup's been out.
Pup's been out.
Let's talk about Patreon. That's, I think, the big thing that we did this week. Well, last week you would have heard on it. We've got some Patreons. Very exciting.
Oh, that's exciting.
Yeah, it's very exciting.
Let's thank them.
Yes. Thank you to our Patreons.
Oh, I thought we had a little list.
Well,
we can probably
know them.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I would like to thank, first of all, the Academy and all the people who made this possible for me. Then I would like to thank good old Lynn Yenesh, a.k.a. my mom, as the Patri One, as I like to call her.
The OG Patreon.
The OG.
That's a...
Phoebe did have that spot, but then she reclaimed her money.
Yeah. She realized it was monthly and was like, oh.
Yeah, losing
I want to
top
take that
spot.
back.
And that should be very clear for everybody.
Patreon is a monthly thing.
Yeah.
Unless you cancel it, and then it's just a one-off payment.
Right. So I think we got my mom, we got your parents who were
thank you to my mom,
very generous with their donation. Thank you very much. We've got good old Lil's Angel, who's been on the pod. I made sure with her. I was also scared. I was like, you know, that's a monthly thing, right?
Yeah.
She's like, oh, I know. I was like, oh, thank God. Okay.
Yep.
We've got Devo Fisher, very good friend of my brother's, a good guy.
Yes, thank you to you.
And we've got
me.
You.
I'm a Patreon.
You and Phoebe.
So let's talk about why I'm a
it.
Patreon. I was just testing to see how it worked. I was so intrigued because you went home after we'd set it up, and you created the account, and I didn't know how to get access to it, and I wanted to see what this extra clip was that was available to people who become Patreons.
Right.
So I went through the process. I wanted to see how it worked, and so I became a Patreon. Don't worry, I'm not gonna stay a Patreon.
It's okay. I'm not worried. I was just letting you know.
Well, the other day you were like, you know that doesn't make
I was just like, you're
you
just double taxing ourselves if you're just gonna.
I know. I know. I'm not trying to be a Patreon.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that was a nice first try at Patreon. I think I wanted to talk a little bit about if we felt like we were any clearer on what we want to put on there, because I think last time we were saying like we don't really want to be promising any extra content, like you get access to stuff only if you're a Patreon, kind of like withholding stuff from other people.
Right.
But just kind of adding some extra stuff. And I think the first clip was...
I think extra stuff and things that might be not embarrassing, but things that you might want to cut out. But it's like, you just
give them, like, you get a little extra.
You get a little extra.
At first I was like,
and it's not
shouldn't
out
be withholding
there,
anything.
You know?
But at the same time, I'm like, but I do want to...
Yeah.
Like, I already immediately feel like I want to put extra stuff on there.
Right.
Just for those people.
I agree.
Not to not give other people something, but I just want to give something more to those people who are
whenever
Patreons.
there's something extra, or whenever there's something, because it's also, I think, just a good place for, like we were talking about, our behind the scenes documentary or something.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't really want the trailer out there. because you
Right.
never know with
Yeah.
a distribution company or something. They might be upset that if we ever do sell it, that they might be upset that it's already been released
Right.
for
So
free
it's not a release. It's
as
like
a trailer.
private
It's
thing
like you can kind of
release to specific people.
Exactly. But again, I don't think we can promise anything.
I don't want to promise anything, but I did. I mean, I don't know about how you feel about you and your film, but I feel like with my film, I do think I want to try and talk a little bit more about it on something like Patreon for those specific people who have literally invested directly in the project,
Right.
and actually like maybe discuss some of the themes or like something specific that I'm working. I don't really know yet,
Right.
but I could imagine doing that
Right.
on top of releasing something like, I don't know, like a poster, an early version of a poster,
Yeah,
or,
just-
or a trailer, or I don't know, like anything, like
Anything.
a mood board. I think it'd be quite fun though.
I would
Add
love
stuff
for you
on
to
there.
post a mood board.
A mood board. Maybe that's a bad example. I don't think I've ever made a mood board.
Yeah, but back to I don't want to single out just Devin, but he is the other half of Moth Vegas, which is my brother's music group is with Devin. Just so you know, because
I
we've
didn't know
used
that.
a
You just
ton
said he
of
was a
their
friend, and I wasn't aware.
we've used a ton of their music.
Yeah, we love their music.
It's good stuff. It's very good stuff.
Constantly trying to put it into our videos.
Yeah, I think they should be coming out with a new. I need to talk to Bennett. I haven't talked to Bennett in like 2 weeks,
Yeah.
3 weeks. But yeah, check them out. Mothvegas dot. Fuck, I think it's .org. We'll put a link underneath.
I haven't seen their website. I've only seen Bennett's website.
I think the website is just a Bandcamp. I don't know. We'll put a link underneath.
Go check it out.
Go check it out.
Last time you said, "Oh, we'll save talking about Boris and Johan for next time."
Okay.
It's now next time.
It's here we
Let's
are.
talk about it.
Talk.
What do you wanna say?
Oh,
What do you want to talk about?
Way to push
No. Okay.
your
fine.
responsibilities.
I want to talk about sound design
Yeah,
now,
yeah,
because that's the first
I'm kidding.
time we are sound designing a film. We've done a lot of sound design for
Yeah.
all the other videos we do.
Yeah.
Is it different to do sound design for something like Boris and Johan?
It's a lot longer.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's an obvious difference. It's a 2-hour film compared to a 1-minute video.
Yeah.
But like,
I
it's the
think
process.
the more we
different or
do
similar?
it, yeah. I don't know if it's different for Boris and Johan necessarily, although it's all, I don't know what you'd call it, real sounds.
Yeah, so let's talk about what sound design is, or what we mean by when we say that.
Right. When I say real sounds, I guess it's like we're adding, the Foley. So if someone slides their hand across the table, we're adding like a, yeah, exactly, something, exactly, of them
Sounds
moving.
great.
So you go through the whole movie, and all these little actions, you decide, should there be a sound there for that? And then what kind of a sound is it? Because it's also never as simple as like, oh, he takes something out of his pocket, because you can't search for a sound effect that's
Removing
guy
phone
takes
from pocket.
Yeah, exactly. So then you end up, I don't fucking like,
It'd be
or
like-
like he puts something down, then you'll find the sound of a coffee pot, and you'll EQ it and reverb it a certain way until you get it to sound.
Things
way
that
you
you
want
think
it.
will sound good paired with the image don't always sound good.
Right. I'm sure
And-
everyone's seen or not everyone's seen it, but the sound guy who worked on Star Wars and stuff, where they're using like slinkies and like all
Crazy
the weirdest
stuff,
shit to create
yeah.
these sounds. Yeah.
I mean, we aren't yet, at least, doing so much of actually recording our own stuff.
No.
I think what we've found to be very useful up until this point is using a website where you can go in and you can basically mass download whatever you want
Right.
and pay a fee.
It's just a sound effects library.
Yeah.
And then
you go and you have access to all
Yeah.
of their content.
if anybody's interested, it's Epidemic. And I don't know. I think they do it on
Epidemicsound.com.
They do it on like a base by base basis or case by case basis.
Yeah, they're mostly YouTube subscription based, as in if you have a YouTube channel,
Right.
you can buy a subscription, a monthly subscription, and then you have access to all of
Right.
their content for YouTube,
Exactly.
which is very different than what we're doing.
It is very
So
different. So
we've
we wrote them
contacted
and we
them,
said,
yeah.
hey, what are these sound effects? Can we use them? And they said, for a flat fee of, I think, $200, you get clearance globally. for those sound effects,
for that production.
which for us is hugely time saving. And
It
now,
is.
we can find all the sounds that we need, because even like we were saying, like, oh, we need a sound of a pigeon's wings flapping, right? And you're like, that's easy.
Oh my God, record that.
Right, but it's like that's 6 hours of your day taking the train, going, finding a bunch of pigeons, getting enough samples of those pigeons
In a quiet setting.
in a quiet setting, then coming back home, checking if it's all okay. If it is good, there go 4 hours, as opposed to
Click,
typing in.
download,
Exactly.
boom.
And
It removes a little bit of the freedom, as in you kind of got to go with what there is,
Yeah,
or
yeah.
be very creative.
Right.
And that can take some time,
Right.
but it's definitely a massive time saver.
I think it's the low budget way to go.
It's a low budget, and the kind of film we're making also allows for it to be like that.
Right.
We're not super crazy in creating these epic soundscapes. Or
Yeah,
anything.
no,
it's
we're not.
very real.
Yeah, it's very
It's camera movement, sound of microphones scratching layers.
Yeah.
It's real.
yeah.
So it's not like we have to go out and get a bunch of very specific,
No,
unique,
no.
difficult to get sounds. So it makes sense for what we're doing.
Exactly. And then, that's very different from the commercial stuff we're doing, where the sound's a little bit more.
Yeah, design stylized.
Yeah. Whooshes
Like
and
sound
swooshes.
that's not. Oh God.
Wishes and waves.
Non-diegetic sounds.
Yeah. One of them.
So non-diegetic film term means sound that is not in the scene, right?
Oh,
God.
one of them is in
Oh.
the scene, one of them isn't.
I think, let's say, non-diegetic means not in the scene.
Yeah, from
And
now
diegetic
on,
means,
that's what it means.
that's what we've decided.
All right.
It might be the other way around.
Listen
But
up,
basically,
film
non-diegetic
community.
sound is sound that's you're not meant to believe it's actually happening
Right.
in the world
Right.
of the film. It's not a car driving by in the background.
Right.
It could be music, or it could
Right.
be a slowly rising pitch, or it could be like
Yeah.
something that's fake, but it adds to the atmosphere. It's the mood
Right.
or something.
Right.
Do a little bit of that, but it's not heavy on that, or at least it's
For-
disguised.
Well, I said we do that more in the commercial stuff.
Yeah. Do
And
a lot in
then-
that stuff.
It is very, because the more we do it, the more, because I used to think, I was like, oh, it's just, I don't know, some people must have a plug-in or some sort of package of like sounds, not specific singular sounds, like sequences of sounds, like for trailers and stuff, when you have that like dum 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 stuff like that, or like in TV shows, you always hear the same kind of like stuff put together, these like cymbal swells or certain things to indicate. And I was like, oh, there must be like a formula. And the more you do it, the more you realize it is such a tedious thing, because you're building the rhythm of the scene, you're adding all the sounds, you've got to mix all the sounds to make them sound good. And every sound you can EQ, you can add reverb, you can pitch it. There's all these things you can do to it to
Yeah.
create this sound design.
It's totally unique to that specific scene.
Right, exactly. And it's just something that I wasn't aware of how meticulous it is. I thought it was more people just
Yeah.
kind of placing a few things back to back, and I'm sure there are things like that, for trailers. I'm sure there's things you can buy as like a bed that just goes underneath everything, and you
Yeah.
have a trailer. But the way we're doing stuff now is very much blank piece of paper. You start and you kind of find out where you,
Yeah,
end up.
it takes a long time.
it really does.
So even like I've been working on a lot of scenes in like busy New York
Yeah,
streets
yeah,
where I'll find, well, obviously but I'm just telling
yeah,
sounds of cars and of buses and of trains and people walking and stuff, and I'll add that in, and then
Yeah.
I feel like, okay, it's not going to be as hard to do the next scene that's taking place in the same location,
yeah,
with the exception of, I don't have to go in and download those sounds again. I already have them in
Yeah.
my folder.
right.
They still have to be differently organized and, like you said, EQ'd and pitched differently and,
Yeah.
and rhythmically placed differently. You
Yeah.
can't just take the same thing and put it over the next thing. It just doesn't feel right.
Yeah, not always.
So many small things that you can't pinpoint why it doesn't work.
Yeah.
Like the sound of a car driving by in the background
Yeah.
fits so much better here than it does here.
Yeah.
stuff like that. It
I
really
think that's
just
all rhythm.
Yeah, it is rhythm.
What's
but-
also interesting is how some sounds will work for something and then just not. Like you'll have, like a car passing by
yeah,
in a movie,
yeah,
just so people know. All those sounds are added. If you see a car in the background and you vaguely kind of hear this like, zoom, it's like cars don't sound like that. They just sound like, this horrible sound in the background. And it's just interesting to see, like you'll pair a bunch of different things to it and, just, oh, that one sounds a little bit too fast. That one, you can notice it right away when
you
it
can
feels
tell
off.
when it's not real.
But when it's right, you're
Suddenly
like, oh,
it becomes
fuck.
part of the scene.
Yeah, and it's like you can't imagine it without it.
Yeah, it's
very
it makes a
weird and
massive
specific.
difference.
Yeah.
It's a massive difference. It's like we were saying that the rough cuts that we've watched so far, we've been able to watch them and enjoy them, but with the knowledge that, well, it's gonna feel like this here, or it's gonna be like that here.
Yeah.
But if someone else watched it, they wouldn't have that
Right.
knowledge, and they'd be like, "This is kind of weird." And now, with the sounds in, we don't have to do that extra work of like imagining what it will be like. It
Right.
actually is like that,
Yeah.
and it's like that's very satisfying.
Exactly.
But it takes a long time to get to that satisfying point.
There's nothing more. It's like, if this house was completely empty and
Yeah.
you were like, but just imagine when the couch is in there and the thing. And it's
Yeah.
like, yeah, I can kind of imagine. It still feels cold in here and like, ugh.
Echoey.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
And then it's like, finally it's there and you're like, oh,
wow,
okay,
yeah.
yeah.
Oh, it's even better.
It makes it better.
Yeah,
It's the thing
makes
as
it
well.
better.
It's not even
Makes
like,
it better.
yeah, it really does.
Yeah, so it's like a mixed experience, kind of like what editing is. It's very rewarding at the end
Yeah.
of creating something. There's a lot of trial and error at first, figuring
Yeah.
out what works and what doesn't, but it's all worth it.
And it's very tedious.
And we're halfway through.
We're halfway through a first pass.
Yes.
Yeah. The gift that keeps on giving. It is the gift that keeps on giving.
Right. I've organized this a little weird.
That's
I wanted to ask, because last time you were saying that you were wondering what people did at home
Yeah.
after they got off work.
Yeah.
Did you get any answers from anyone? Or did you
I didn't
come
even
to
check.
any
No, I did check.
realizations?
I don't think
Or
anybody
do you
left
do
a
anything
comment.
Do you do anything different?
No.
You just do. So what do you do when you get home?
All kinds of things.
Like, do you have, I feel like you have kind of like a routine.
No, not. I used to. Back in December, I had a pretty good one. I'll typically get home. I'll cook my dinner. I'll eat my dinner.
Like straight away?
Huh?
Like straight away, regardless of what
Within
time
like
it
the
is?
first 30 minutes.
And do you already have dinner stuff when you get home? Or do you pick it
Depends.
up on the way back? Or do you buy in like bulk
I
on
was
the weekend?
well. The netto is right. No, I'm never that planned.
So you buy like every day what
It's
you
all
eat.
like jazz. I get home and then it's like, ba-doo ba-da ba-dee.
What I'm so I don't know why I have no idea. Like what do you eat for dinner? Like what's a typical meal?
Again, it depends.
Like what did you have last night?
I had quinoa, mushrooms, and tofu.
Sounds good.
That's a pretty normal one. I
So
like
you
those.
buy it like on the way. You stop at Netto and you'll get the stuff.
No, I ride my
or
bike
like
home because the netto's right there.
And
And then I'll either go to the netto or go inside. Then I'll check if I need anything.
go out and get that.
Yeah, I've gotten pretty good at like just throwing things together now too.
Yeah,
Um,
that's a skill.
and then yeah, I eat dinner. I know it's fascinating. And then
I'm intrigued.
And then
I feel like it's a mystery what you do once you leave here. Sometimes.
That's what I mean. Then I will go on my computer, and then I'll do I'll like play on my guitar for 30 minutes to an hour.
What does go on your computer mean?
Like I just have the spot on the couch, and my computer's there.
That means go. So sit there and
So
do something with
computer's here. I'm sitting here,
Yeah.
and then my guitar's there.
the computer.
Everything then
That's
is,
computer guitar
right.
time.
And I finish my food, and then it all goes in the sink, right?
Yeah.
I don't do the dishes then.
Straight away, no.
Never.
You wait. Yeah.
Then I'll sit down. Then I'll either play guitar, play chess, or watch something, or read a blog,
something on
or read a
Netflix,
book.
right?
It all depends. Yeah.
And how long does that take?
What?
How long does that phase
It's
last?
all jazz.
All random?
It's all random, baby. There's really no.
Okay.
No rhyme or reason. But I think that's what I was addressing. Just this, that is my habit, is to sit in that spot. And, you know, even I'll be playing guitar and then I'll have the computer still there, either because you can have the tabs up for new songs, or if I'm jamming, you know, maybe I'm just like watching something in the background or whatever. And then, yeah, so that's the thing that I'm like, if I took that computer away, I would sit on the, I would play my guitar for 15 and then I would get bored.
Right.
And I would be like, what now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but do you still feel like you want to like be doing something different, or you're like wondering like what to do with the time, or? Is that...
I think I thought about it and I was like, I would need a project. I'm very antsy to start a new project.
Yeah.
So it might be just that time to start like writing again or something. I don't fucking know. Which would be on my computer again, which is like the worst part, you know? It's like the only thing I can think of is something that would be the exact thing I'm trying to stay away from, and I don't want to be an asshole who writes on a typewriter or something.
Saw a video of a guy who brought his typewriter into class and took notes on his typewriter.
I used to be into the idea because who was it? I mean, the idea being that you have to be so careful about what you have to be very thoughtful about what you write.
When you write on a typewriter.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's not how I write at all. I was like, wouldn't that be cool if I could just pump out a page of like pristine dialogue, and then I look at my process and it's like more word vomiting and then moving stuff around,
Yeah.
and then you know, it doesn't really fit to that.
Well, like I have like what I consider my project outside of everything we're
Yeah.
doing, which is writing my film.
Yeah.
So I can definitely imagine like wanting to do that as well, because it is quite rewarding to mentally go somewhere completely different.
I think that's the rewarding thing is is maybe the key. I don't find that many things rewarding. You know, it's kind of limited to a few things.
But I've been doing my 10 minutes a day on my script.
Nice.
It's been more than 10 minutes every time.
Yeah.
So it's working. Definitely.
Nice.
It's been, I think, an average of like 40 minutes.
Nice.
And it's still just, yeah, it's literally like, I would just write just bullet
Ideas.
points
Yeah.
down.
Yeah.
Um,
How's that going?
yeah. I think what's actually been the most insightful has been telling you about the points
Yeah.
the day after.
Yeah.
Like yesterday,
Yeah.
started work, and that was the first thing I was like, "Wow, let me tell you about like what
Yeah.
I did yesterday."
Yeah.
And we talked about that for like 6 hours. Or it led into like a 6
It
hour
was
conversation.
it was very productive, but very unproductive at the same time.
On the surface, to anyone else, a super unproductive
Nothing
day,
got done. Yeah.
but very useful to me. I've been finding those conversations very, very useful.
Yeah, I definitely think I was FaceTiming Kevin yesterday, and he was like, "Oh, how's Matt's?" I forget if he asked. I don't know how we got to this. And I said, "Oh, I think it's sort of like when I was living with Kevin, I was writing my film.
Yeah.
So I would just constantly be a psycho and
And
be like,
tell him about
yeah, and then this, and then that,
Yeah,
and then
it
and he
really
was kind
helps.
of like, But it really does help just to bounce off somebody and get like a.
It does, and
Yeah.
I feel like you also bring up a lot of like points that I hadn't thought of that make me really question, in a good way, if what I'm writing is actually true. Because there's a difference between like initially feeling something, and then if someone else can relate to that too, then it means it's more than just
Right.
what you thought.
Right.
It's bigger than that.
Right.
Sometimes it's almost there, and then talking about it's like, well, that's actually the angle you should be looking at it
Or like
from.
the bigger theme or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I definitely want to keep doing that.
Nice.
Hope you're down.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I thought you meant the 10 minutes.
No
I was
more.
like, am I involved in that?
Stop talking about your film for 1 second. God damn it. On a completely different note,
Yeah.
today I think we mentioned it last week on the podcast. No, I can't remember. I'm starting to mesh days together, but we did like a full networking day today. We didn't work on Boris and
That
Johan.
hustle.
Yeah, the hustle day.
Do some of that. Doing some of that hustling.
And guess who wrote us back finally wanting our goddamn video? Dream Balloon. So Dream Balloon, for those of you who aren't aware, is the first company who we worked with, I guess you can call it that.
Yeah.
Or we contacted and filmed with first.
Yeah.
So right when you moved here,
That was
like
pretty wild.
a week after you moved
Yeah.
here, we were out with Robin, who was helping out at
Yeah,
the time.
yeah.
All of our camera equipment, shooting a promotional video for a hot air balloon company.
Yeah.
Flying hot air balloons, flying drones.
Yeah. All of the
Getting
above.
time lapses.
Yeah.
Getting home with like 150 gigabytes of footage.
Oh my god.
And then
The stress.
editing a video for them
Yeah.
as like a free taster of what
Yeah.
we could offer them.
Yeah.
And then they didn't want the video.
No.
Not that they didn't like it, but they just didn't want it. I don't know exactly what the reason is.
Yeah.
But they kind of left the door open. And for the past, like, when did you even get, like, what is it? June?
I think I got here in
August,
June.
For the past 9 months, 8 months.
Yeah.
Just be able to count properly.
Yeah. Yeah.
We've been like back and forward talking to them about like using the footage that we already have
Right.
to edit them a video because
Right.
they really want it and they really need it.
Yeah, they had said,
According to
"Oh,
them.
can we use that video?" And we
Really?
said, "Great. Yeah, I mean, it's for free. We made it for free. That was kind of the offer, but we'll cut the whole because we had essentially cut them half a video.
We made them like a
teaser.
teaser.
Yeah, right.
We didn't show much of the actual balloon flying experience.
Right.
We saved all of the best footage for the main video
Yeah.
on purpose.
Yeah. I wouldn't say the best, but just the conclusion of it. Like, well, what happens? You go in the air.
There's 2 shots of the hot air balloon
Right.
in the video.
Right.
So obviously we saved the video,
Okay.
the content.
Gotcha. Yeah. So that was exciting.
But yeah, they wrote us back today and they want to buy a video.
Yeah.
And we've already got the footage. We just have to edit it. So that's just a very satisfying turn of events.
Little edit for a little money.
It means that we can actually have them as a client on our website and not just pretend like they're a client.
I think that's good. And I think, boy, did that money come at a good time.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I mean, we still haven't gotten paid for it, but it's like, that's a nice little,
Booster.
yeah, little safety. And then, you know, hopefully the next thing goes pretty quick as well, which it should.
But what I actually wanted to talk about, Dream
Oh.
Balloon was just an added little bonus there at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So we've done a full networking day where we've emailed companies and people
Yeah.
we could see ourselves
The
working with.
hustle.
Yeah. And I wanted to compare it with the last time we did it.
Ah.
And how do you feel any different about it?
No, I hate it.
Okay, no, that's not what I meant.
Oh.
Yeah, it's not the most enjoyable, but I noted that if you compare the emails that we sent back then, where we didn't have a show reel,
Yeah.
we didn't have
Yeah.
any work, we just had some YouTube videos.
Yeah.
We were scrambling
Oh,
so
yeah.
hard to like sell them on the email.
On nothing.
Like, we can do this, we could do that. Like, we're not lying,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
like
yeah.
we felt like we had to explain everything there and then.
It's the whole issue with the empty house again. Like, just imagine what we could do for you guys.
Yeah.
Just imagine.
And I just felt like this time around I actually enjoyed it a little because it was easier and it wasn't like every email was this massive like research project
Yeah,
where you felt
yeah.
like you had to pitch your biggest best idea,
Right.
the hopes that one person happens to see it and
Right.
happens to do something about it and
Yeah.
happens to turn into something.
Yeah.
It was just a very straightforward, like, here's some of our work. We'd love to get in touch. And it's just like, that speaks for itself so much more than anything you could write.
Yeah.
I just felt like that was satisfying because I don't think we ever really talked about finally editing the show reel.
Okay.
Because we finished that the week that Lily and Phoebe were on. We never
Right.
talked about it.
Right.
I feel like that's a massive thing to have.
That was a hard decision to make to do that.
Yeah, so we decided to take like 3 days off of Boris and
Yeah,
Johan.
mainly you.
Well, yeah, it ended up
Yeah.
being you doing the last 2 days as well.
Well, yeah.
To put together like a compilation of our best work
Yeah.
in an edit, not just a montage,
Right.
which was the hard part. It's
That's
so
the
easy
hard
to
bit.
just clip out, oh, here's a good part.
Yeah.
But to make the video itself feel like its own thing,
Yeah.
it just makes sense. If we're saying
There's just no point.
that's what we
otherwise.
do, we tell stories.
Right.
And to have a video that's just not a story, it's just
Right.
a bunch of random stuff put together.
Right.
Well, then it's a missed opportunity to show that we can actually tell a story, even
Right.
with footage that's
Right.
unrelated.
Because it's also like, I don't know, some of those show reels out there are just do.
Yeah. Even ones with good video content,
Yeah.
like good quality
Yeah.
stuff. It's just like there's no sound design. It's just music playing over it.
Yeah,
and
it's
it
just like a
doesn't feel
raging,
like it's
raging track.
it's like, yeah, like dubstep
Yeah.
music. So we decided to make ours really dark instead.
Yeah. Which probably will bite us in the ass one day, but I think it's more
it's all
interesting.
worth it. Yeah.
Yeah.
It makes it. We get more excited about making it. It's a good thing.
I think that was the thing too. It was like,
It's us.
hey, Matt, just do it in one day and we'll be done with it. And then it took longer than one day. And then at some point I was like, well, now we might as well.
Right.
Do it.
There was like a very clear point where I was like, I looked at you. I was like, dude, like, I'm just gonna put music over this
Yeah.
and just put it together.
Yeah.
Because it was like, yeah, it was taking a really long time,
Right.
and then we decided to just work on it for a couple more days and do the work
And it's way
and
more
make it
interesting
good.
now.
And now it's good. And now our website has a goddamn show reel.
It's got a great show reel. You know what really bothers me though is that we did not color correct that first freaking clip,
Oh,
but we color corrected it in the thumbnail.
so when you start it, it
It
looks
just
like
looks
it's
so
dull.
gray and unsaturated. I'm like, God damn it. I mean, maybe we can.
Well, we can easily change that.
Maybe I'm also still split on the whole ending. I don't know
Ending.
where it says we care and then it says
We
don't,
don't
care.
care. Oh no, are you going back on that?
I'm not going back. I'm just like
You're split. That means you're just
split. I'm split on it.
I still like that part.
Yeah.
I still like that part.
Yeah. I think.
Well,
it's
what's
good.
the
I
thought
think-
process behind that? We care, but we don't care. So we're essentially saying we find it important to also know our priorities, and that by knowing your priorities, you're also aware of what isn't as important.
Right.
As in, we don't care about certain things.
Right.
It's not just about making an exciting video.
Right.
It's also about talking about something real. So,
I think it's got good meaning.
it's definitely got a good intent behind it, but I think time will tell if people get that at all, or if it
Time-
even matters.
Time will tell. Yeah, that's the real question. I don't know. I find it in general difficult to balance the sort of wanting to be serious, but also wanting to not be serious. Do you know what I mean?
In the show
I
reel?
find it very hard personally to say anything with 100% like serious face.
Right, because then you're kind of saying that you 100% think that, and that there's no part of you that like maybe finds that to be too much or something.
Yeah, maybe you're committed or something, but it just reminds me of like a bank making a video or a like just any big corporation. They're always so serious and everything's so like, they use these words and you're like, I don't fuck, who gives a shit? You know, you don't care. I would argue that we do care in our thing, right? But it's
But
like,
we also don't care.
but yes, I guess that's the interesting part. It's just like, how do you? There's a very fine line where it becomes
Yeah.
cheesy.
Yeah, that's the
and,
thing. It's like if people could get the feeling that it's not genuine, like we're just saying it because
right.
we make amazing videos and we'll make your business better. Buy our
will.
video now.
Now.
It's,
Bwah,
yeah.
bum, bum, bum,
It's,
bum, bum,
it's
bum.
like, well, we might believe that. It might even be true, but it's also like, it doesn't feel very genuine. It doesn't feel like,
Yeah, it's just hard. It's just very
honest.
hard to find that balance, I think, of, the same with the Patreon, where it's like you're trying to keep it lighthearted and serious at the same time.
yeah, because
and that's
it's like
a very
we're obviously
difficult-
doing it because it's not like we don't care. Like, oh, let's see whatever that is. We don't
Right,
care. It's
right.
like we care, but it's not like we're going, help us on Patreon.
Right.
And we'll do all these amazing things.
Right.
Or
And the people I like, or like everyone I listen to with podcasts, and they're always like on the less serious side. Although they might still be talking about serious issues, it's just from a less serious lens or perspective, or from a more jokey.
I definitely come from the more serious side of things.
Which I think it's an interesting
we've talked about that.
Pairing, yeah.
It is. It ends up being a very interesting mixture.
Yeah, I think exactly.
And it's creating what
kind of keeps
Burning Boat is a little bit.
Me from going off the rails and keeps you from
being too cheesy.
Yeah. We find a nice middle ground. I think that's good.
And then yesterday, we were kind of going through like long term, looking at a calendar.
Yeah.
And like, okay, so the baby's due here.
Yeah.
We need like these videos.
I have just a whole year up on my computer.
It's a little weird.
It's a little intimidating.
Think that far ahead.
Yeah, yeah.
And at one point, you were like, "Are you planning on moving?"
Yeah.
And I was like, in the moment, I was like, "No." Then afterwards, I was thinking like, "Wait, are you worried that I'm suddenly gonna say like, oh, I'm out of here, I'm gone?"
I mean,
is this something?
No, I'm not worried.
Because I feel like that's something we need to talk about then. Because I would definitely tell you. You never have to ask.
Listen,
if something was happening, you would know. Before anyone else.
I appreciate that. Track record.
Baby's
already there, and then you tell me.
Well, yeah, I'm not gonna
0 to 1.
I'm not gonna.
He just got roasted. No, I think
you were the second person to know about the pregnancy.
Oh, good for me. That'd be like you moving and then calling me from the new apartment in Australia and being like, "Hey Taylor, you're the second."
You mean you wanted me to call you up while me and
you were having sex? Yes, absolutely.
Like,
that's what I'm saying.
This might be happening right now.
Yes. No. I think I've just heard you guys talk about it. I've just heard you mention it in passing, and I'm like, just so I can kind of prepare. I was like, well, I need to bring this up at some point. It wasn't like a serious, like, hey, we need to sit down. I need to ask you this. It was like, now seems like the time to ask when we're looking a year into the future.
I think what I've mentioned is like, oh, I'd love to live in a van.
Right.
Or like live off the grid as like a...
Right.
Not now. Like,
but you guys haven't even said with this apartment. I mean, you said like, oh, we'll be leaving.
In my head, I never would want to stay one place for too long, just in like a general way.
Okay.
It's definitely not the case that we're talking about or thinking about moving anytime soon.
I see. Okay.
So I just wanted to clear that up.
It's clear. It is crystal clear, buddy. I'm not going anywhere, and you shouldn't be scared if you said, "Hey, we're thinking of moving to the Alps," because I would be like, "Oh, let me call my 0 friends here." Guys, wait, I don't have any. Yeah, I don't fucking care.
But like, that's an actually interesting point, because what it made me think about was like, what would we actually do? I mean, we're not actually thinking that, or maybe we are. I haven't even thought about it.
Yeah, this is a big can.
That burning boat is like based somewhere. So in my head, it's doesn't matter where it is necessarily. Like, it's not a physical thing.
No.
It's us.
Right.
And wherever we are, it is.
Yeah.
I don't know. I haven't thought about it much. Maybe that's something we should think about, what that even means. We were talking about, like, ages ago, sitting down and going through, like, big questions like that.
Right.
And even writing up some kind of, like, binding document that kind of clears up issues like that. Like, if I die, what happens to the company?
Yeah, Phoebe gets no money
or whatever.
No,
like stuff like that.
Cut her off.
Like, what does that even mean? How do people do that? It seems so like unnatural to suddenly be like, what happens in 10 years if you want to move across the world and become a monk?
Right.
I'm like, Oh,
Well, it wouldn't. I mean, I don't think it would be that specific, but I would say if Taylor ever decided to opt out of the company, this is what would happen.
right.
If Mads ever decided, and let's say we get into a fight and suddenly we can't talk to each other anymore.
Yeah, then that is
It
already
would be
been
like, well,
decided.
we've already decided it when we were still friends.
We were still friends.
You know,
that sounds
so that
sad.
now nobody's
Sounds
trying
so
to.
sad.
Anyway, that would be sad. Money fucks with people, though. You know. I don't even want to.
No,
Yeah.
it feels very weird because I haven't. It's not something I'm like thinking about.
I think it would become a question when the business transferred to only doing feature films and there was less of a day-to-day tasks, you know? More like big swaths of tasks. Like,
Yeah.
oh, it's pre-production is for spring for this new film that we're doing in December or whatever. I think then it would just be, I mean, we wouldn't even have to be in the same place. Probably help. You know, but if it's like, at some point expect me to move to a forest somewhere. And you'll have to talk to me via like Morse code or something.
And you'd be
And I'll be like, beep, 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 bring more beep, beep coffee.
your
Bring toilet paper from the
eighth
airport.
film in the woods, and I'd be traveling around the world in a bus with my 8 kids,
Right,
and then every so often we'd get together and like make a movie,
right.
or we'd be having this massive
I think it's
company
It's so hard
somewhere
to
in a big
imagine,
city
you know?
with multiple stories.
Yeah, it's who knows what will happen. Yeah, I don't think there was too much, but I was just curious because I'd heard you guys said that, and I was like, was that like at the end of this year, or is that, I think that's what I was more getting at.
To me, I'm all about I think the way that we're doing it now, which is it's like feature-length film focus. Once that kind of finishes,
Right.
focus on the
Money.
business and the money.
Yeah,
And then once we get funding for the next film, focus on that.
exactly.
And then
Have
that's
another
kind of as
7
far as I can
kids.
think.
Yeah, me too. I mean, it gets
There's
a little bit
so
wishy-washy
many
after that.
unknowns, right?
Yeah.
So many unknowns.
Yeah.
Maybe we should sit down and do one of those. What happens if this? What happens if that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Just have it done.
Yeah. What happens if Arlo digs up a golden nugget
And
on
you're
our
walking
property?
in.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, today's episode was one of those where we just went through all my points really quickly.
But that's fine.
Maybe, is there anything else that you want to bring up from this past week?
Yes. Oh.
Oh, one sec. So he rings the doorbell and he says, "Hi, ads." I'm like, who wants ads? Who just wants a package of ads put into their mailbox?
That's interesting. You read The Power of Habits, right?
Yeah.
That story about the girl who's pregnant and she gets those catalog ads things.
Yeah.
And they're, excuse me. And they're, now you're in trouble, Buster. Oh. Oh, you're in trouble, buddy. They gave out these what the fuck do you call them? It's like,
I think they were sending specific
you get them in America all the time. They'll say like, oh,
sales
there's meat
opportunities.
for a pound of chicken for $1.99. At your latest. It's like anything that's marked yellow in the grocery store instead of a white tag.
Yeah.
It's on sale. That's what you're right. And they would print them, and they would create these specific targeted ads but in a random. So you would feel like, oh, everybody got this one in the whole neighborhood, but it's really one that's specifically for you,
Based on your previous
based on what
shopping
you've been
habits.
buying.
Yeah.
And this would happen if you ever got like a Walmart credit card or Target credit card, right? And And there was this situation where basically this girl was getting these, and the dad called Target and said, "This is totally inappropriate. You're like trying to, there's a bunch of like sponsored stuff for babies and all this stuff, and I don't want you getting that into my daughter's head." And then it came out that the daughter was already pregnant. And the reason she was getting that is because Target had figured out,
That she was pregnant.
90% of women who buy these things are in their first stage of pregnancy, whatever. So we're going to start offering her all these, prenatal vitamins, blah, 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 blah.
So
then
Walmart knew before.
I think it was
her
Target,
dad,
but yeah, knew
or
before the
Target
dad.
that she was pregnant.
Yeah, based on just consumer habits.
Some ads. Yeah, it just seems like an annoying thing to get a bundle of in the mail.
Oh, there's nothing. And me and Lily were talking about too, just the whole like you say something and you get an ad for it. So there's this weird, not that, I mean, obviously people have to be listening to you to a certain extent. I don't think there's someone, some fat dude with a pair of headsets on getting off on like listening to you every day. But obviously keywords get, taken from what you're saying and get applied
Like
as
phone
targeted
call?
ads towards you. Just your phone the whole time.
Really?
Yeah.
That thing right now is listening.
Oh, is it? Because if I say, hi Siri or whatever, what is it? Okay, Siri. Fuck, which one is that? Siri? Hey Siri. Hey Siri. All right, well, it doesn't work. But for that function to work, it has to be.
Yeah,
It's
that's true.
listening
Yeah,
the
I
whole
wasn't thinking
time for
about
them.
that. That makes sense.
And again, I think they would probably, I don't know enough about this, but I think they would probably get around it by saying we're not listening. It's just picking up keywords and recognizing them and then applying those ads towards you. So it's all computerized. Again, I don't think there's someone sitting there typing in, "Oh, Mads mentioned." Just as it picks it up, goes
Right.
into their system, and then you'll suddenly see an ad for diapers that you're like, "Oh yeah, we did just talk about that."
That's interesting.
It's very weird. It's very weird. Off of that, is there anything else? I've been reading more of that Elon article, about him going to space. Yeah, he was the interesting thing. Last week I said, well, he's such a compassionate person. And then I was like, no, maybe it's not compassion. Maybe he is. He's like Hal in 2001 Space Odyssey, right? He is just doing what's logically best for humanity,
Yeah.
right? So putting part of the species on Mars and giving our species this life insurance is less of a act of compassion maybe and more of a just like, this is the only thing that makes sense to do in terms of if I want this species to survive. And that doesn't necessarily have to be from a point of compassion. I just wanted to...
No emotion has to be involved to make that.
It doesn't have to be.
decision.
I don't want to read into what his motives are.
Or it's a combination of both.
Right. But I like to think now the same way. In the article, it often explains it from the perspective of like, it's totally absurd, but like two aliens watching Earth and kind of like talking to each other about it. And one is betting that Earth is going to go extinct the species, and the other is betting that Earth is going to survive past this, like, I forget what they call it, like the God point or whatever, which is when you go multiplanetary and then, whatever. And the one who is betting, has money bet on humanity going to extinction, is hoping that nobody makes that leap to multiplanetary and creates this sort of insurance policy for the species, because that's like a very good chance that you'll survive as a species as a whole then. And the other one is hoping that they do make that move. From their perspective then, if you kind of like look outside of Earth or zoom a little bit further out, it becomes a little bit more clear maybe that it's like, that's the right thing to do, is to do this multiplanetary thing. Even though when you're on Earth, it feels very ridiculous and like, it's Mars, like it's the worst conditions than anything on Earth. Nobody would want to live there, blah, 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 blah.
We were having a long conversation about a topic yesterday.
Yeah,
Without
abortion.
without getting into that. I was saying at one point, which I thought about afterwards, that I tried to come up with what you would call my opinion,
Right.
from a logical perspective. Because you can have an emotional feeling about something.
Yeah.
But I feel like it's so important to also reach the same conclusion logically.
Across the board.
Yeah, you kind of have to combine both almost
Yeah.
always. That if it's only an emotional response to something, it's probably not a good thing. Or if it's only logical analysis of, well, this makes sense
Right.
because of this, it
Right.
might be missing out on something a little bit more human.
Right, like
So it's
Hal
like-
killing the occupants.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
it's just wasted space.
An interesting, definitely an interesting conversation.
Yeah. You want to get into it? Little Patreon extra here. Little Patreon talk on.
Okay, we could talk about that for
We'll
Patreon.
see how it goes. We could always just cut it out.
Well, I think that's a good place to
Wrap it up.
end.
Is that 117? That's good. Yeah. Yeah.
All right. See you next time.
I'm burning boat business.